Hey guys, Sticky here with Primal Target. Today we are going to cover Halo Infinite with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get into it. After years of cock teasing only for us to dig around for leaks and rumors, we have finally got a nice little bit of gameplay. So at first glance, we see Chief's armor being forged with quite an impressive display. The only thing that could have made it better is seeing Master Chief squeeze into it with those dummy thick cheeks of his, am I right? Anyway, in preparation for the gameplay, the game takes place roughly 6 months from the end of Halo 5, when Cortana goes completely batshit crazy. 343 has stated that the mission we saw in this gameplay is several hours into the story, roughly halfway through, if you couldn't tell by how comfortable the pilot was with giving Master Chief some sass after their crash landing.
Who you are? Breathe. No! You don't get to tell me what to do. You don't get to tell me anything!
Now, when we first hop out of the crashed Pelican, we have a view of some mountains, fields, and some of the terrain. I didn't know what to think at first. The overall look seemed more light and vibrant, which was very different from the art style that we saw in Halo 4 and 5 from 343, so this was kind of a refreshing look. The next thing we notice is the sound design, how amazing it is. Once he hops in that Warthog, you can just hear how crisp and clean and kind of rugged that Warthog sounds. We get to see some drifting skills showing off the handling of the new Warthog, which, by the way, I cannot wait to see what off-road races people make for this thing in Forge, because goddamn! But coming back to the audio for a minute, the thing to know about this is the guns sound amazing. Like, I've never heard guns in Halo sound this good ever, or any game for that matter. Those field recordings that they did definitely paid off. Now, after we see the Chief just obliterate enemies with all these new weapons that they're showing off here, we get a taste of some of these armor abilities that they got. Now, the first one we see here is going to be kind of like the bubble shield of Halo Infinite, but instead of the traditional bubble shield, it's kind of more like a front-facing half circle that you can shoot through, but enemies can't shoot you through, so it's kind of an improvement in my eyes. And then the next one is the Grappling Hook. And I'll tell you what, I was getting some serious Batman vibes here. But to me, the most important thing about the Grappling Hook isn't the traversal. It's not. It's mainly for hurling fusion coils at dirty split-chin sons of bitches, making Sergeant Johnson proud.
Am I right, Marines? Sir, yes, sir. Damn right I am. Now move it out.
In all seriousness, though, the gameplay was really awesome, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it for multiplayer, because that's where I'm really interested. So we've talked about the good, let's get into some of the bad. There isn't a whole lot to touch on here for me. The community overall is pretty split on the new art style, but personally, I don't really prefer this art style, as it's a little more cartoony for my taste. But it isn't bad per se, it's just not what I was expecting, which is definitely not a big enough issue for me to not play the game. Another thing that could be seen as bad for some is the gameplay itself. For all the OG purist Halo fans out there, you didn't get what you wanted. It sucks to be you. I'm not really sorry, though, because we don't need to be rehashing the same stuff over and over again, in my opinion. So the game actually features sprint, sliding, clambering, and a range of Spartan abilities ranging so far from the Grappling Hook and the Energy Shield that we saw earlier. Overall, I really like the gameplay, and I'm excited for something fresh from 343. And if you didn't catch that little detail there, you were able to slide and shoot at the same time. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Again, like I said earlier, there's not a whole lot bad with this Halo that I've seen so far for me personally. I do understand that people are, not really excited about Sprint being there and Clamber being there and they want old Halo back, but we can't all get what we want because the fan base wants different things. So I wouldn't be too surprised if 343 for matchmaking and multiplayer didn't add some sort of like retro playlist, kind of like how you see in Halo 5 from time to time with Mythic Arena and things like that. But for now, this is good enough for me. Alright, that's enough about the bad. Let's talk about the hilariously ugly. But before I do that, I want to give you guys a quick disclaimer that this was an old build, and what we're going to be seeing is basically just texture problems, which will be fixed hopefully in the final game, but they're saying that this build was at least a few months old, so instead of being upset, let's just have fun with it. So as soon as the conference was over, there was a ton of memes all over social media everywhere about how bad the textures were for the enemy models. So if you pause during the gameplay at all and look at like a brute's face or anything, it just looks atrocious. It literally looks like shit. It's terrible, but it's so fucking funny. I don't know why. It's kind of like one of those sad clown moments where like we weren't knowing how far along this build was when all these memes were pouring out until 343 later told us what was up. But it was just kind of like, oh god, fuck, this is not good at all. Shit. Okay, well, it's actually kind of funny because it's so bad. And then we find out that it's pretty old build, so it's not a big deal. Again, it's not a big deal. It can be fixed. But good god, it was so fucking funny. Well, that concludes our deconstruction of the Halo Infinite reveal. This is our first time actually making a video in this format, so let us know how we did and give us comments about what you liked or disliked about Halo Infinite. As always, guys, drop a like and a subscribe for your boy, or I will find you and kiss your fucking dad in front of you so your parents get divorced and it's all your fault. Peace out.
God, Jesus fucking Christ!
Peter?
What the?
Why? I mean, this is gonna...